Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Sports Talk with me, Recap. What's going on, man? I hope you're having a blessed day, man. It's a beautiful day outside. Here in Pennsylvania, the weather's pretty nice. Anyway, man, we're gonna talk about Anthony Edward. Anthony Edward. Well, before we talk about Anthony Edward, let me say this about Stephen A. Smith. I think the whole thing with Stephen A. Smith going after Bronny James was just clickbait. You know what I mean? LeBron James don't F with you. You've been attacking that man for years to boost your rating without you talking about LeBron James on your show. You don't get anything. So talking about LeBron James make a lot of people rich. A lot of people get rich, have gotten rich and famous because of them being critical of LeBron James. So when they talk, and that's all it is. But to talk about Bronny James, you gotta you can Google this. If you look at in the history of the NBA, right? In the history of the NBA, how many 55th pick, how many 55th pick have made it to the NBA? Or still there or in the G League. These guys are overseas playing. You know what I mean? So, and you also got to look at Bronny James he had a heart attack 2 years ago. Having a heart attack, his body is just getting into pro sports. Yes, and then also besides being the 55 pick, you have to look at being the 12 men on a team. What 12 men is getting minutes? The kid get 4 minutes a game, right? He gets 4 minutes a game, if that. Sometimes he doesn't even play at all. So kid getting 4 minutes. And then the 4 minutes that he get, those plays are designed, whether he's passing or whatever. Only a couple where he's actually taking shots. So what it is that you want him to do. So the whole thing with Stephen A. Smith, of course, he made it personal to attack the kid. You know what I mean? Pleading with LeBron James. As a father, I'm glad LeBron James pressed him. I probably would have punched him in his throat for doing that, but that's not me. And there's other thing I would have done, but we're not going to talk about them on air. But I think that when you tell the man, when you go on national TV to say, hey, LeBron, I'm pleading as a father, what you're telling him is that he's failing as a father, a guy who didn't have a dad. His mom was everything to him, and he's been doing everything he can to be there for his kids. And yes. A lot of now is Bronny James with the Lakers because of LeBron James? Yes, of course. Everybody knows that. Boston Celtics were going to draft Bronny James. They were going to draft the Celtics, the Cavs, Dallas Mavericks. You had OKC. You had Golden State. You had there's a lot of teams. A lot of teams wanted to draft Bronny James, right? Rich Paul told them, do not draft Bronny James because he's not going to come here. You rather go play overseas. Boston was going to do it the last minute and dare him to go overseas. But a lot of those teams, they wanted to sign him as a two-way player, right? They wanted to give him a two-way contract, but the Rich Paul and his team, they didn't want that to happen. They said no, we want to give him an opportunity to play with his dad, which is what LeBron James wanted to do all along, and that's it. You know what I mean? But to do all this BS, it was all for rating. Stephen A. Smith coming and saying, they told him to talk about it, whatever, which is a lie. You know what I mean? Which is a lie. You're the star of the show. This is your show, so you have a say so on what you should say, what's going on. The producers works for you. The producers can't say, hey, I want you to talk about that. And then also to go to Gilbert Arenas show. And at the time, I saw that all those guys on the show were siding with Stephen A. Smith at the time because he just signed a $100 million deal. They would, hey, they want an opportunity to be on TV, to be on, that's what it is. They were smooching. But when you look at it, when LeBron James was talking to him in front of him right there, all he said, all right, I'm not talking about your son like that. I'm not okay, it's okay. All right, man. He didn't talk. You could have, all the stuff to say, oh, what he did was weak, all the stuff. You could have told him that right there. You didn't. Because you a P. I'm not, our kids watch, I'm not going to say it, but you a P. You know what I mean? You PU. and with a while, I'm not going to say it. But, hey, at the end of the day, you could have done something. You could have said something. You didn't. But you went on multiple stream, multiple network to talk about over and over saying he was weak for coming to you. You also say, hey, if player want to talk to you, they would press you. You said, oh, back in the day, a player used to meet you a lot, whatever, to talk. So I know that this man's a clown. Stephen A. Smith is a clown. Everything he's done is for clout. That's it. Everything. You know what I mean? But anyway, man, Anthony Edwards. This is why, as a father, I always tell my kids, and also other kids too, don't let the rappers, the movie stars, or whatever, to be your role model. Those guys are not role models. You know what I mean? A lot of those guys are not role models. Not because I like LeBron James, whatever, but you gotta give credit to what he's done, building the schools for kids, paying for those kids that when their parents don't have anywhere to stay, giving them house and paying, have a food pantry to help them get food to eat every day, sending these kids to college. LeBron has put 1,000 kids to college every year. You know what I mean? And that's a lot, man. To spend $30 million of your own money every year to send kids to college, and that's something, man. So and that's something he doesn't get credit for. And people are bashing and doing whatever. Those are losers who does that. But anyway, when you look at Anthony Edwards, he's in a relationship with his girl, whatever. He's out there sleeping with this other woman who have his baby. She was living in Atlanta then. Now she's in LA. But he loved, from what I'm hearing, from what he loved going to Atlanta to play the Atlanta Hawks. He loved when Minnesota go to Atlanta, when the team go to Atlanta to play, you know what I mean, and they don't have a game the next day, whatever. He loved that, so he can stay extra to be with that woman. You know what I mean? He loved that. He will fly her out everywhere he is, having unprotected sex with her. Right? So you're doing all of that. Number one, anytime you're having unprotected sex with someone, you know the outcome. You know the possibilities, right? If you don't know the possibilities and what might happen, I don't know. But you know the outcome, you know the possibilities, you know what would happen in the event of what would happen. You know what's gonna happen when you do stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it's crazy. This man Anthony Edwards, whatever, having unprotected sex with that woman, got her pregnant. She messaged him, right? She messaged him, whatever, because he was supposed to go meet her, and she messaged him, said, hey, she was pregnant. She said she took her She took several pregnancy tests, and she's pregnant. And his response to her, hey, you better get an abortion. A lot of times, you meet someone, right? You meet someone, you might fall in love with them or whatever, emotions, stuff going on. It's ridiculous for me, as a father, as a man, period. If I'm having unprotected sex with a woman, and then she tells me she tells me that recount, hey, I'm pregnant. The response is not gonna be, oh, you better have an abortion. Because if you don't want to have a baby with someone, wear a condom, right? If you don't want to have, a baby, whatever, wear a condom. Even then, the condom sometimes doesn't work, right? I know, I have 6 kids. I have 6 kids, I know. And pull out doesn't work. People say, if you tell me pull out works, if a woman said the pull out works, listen, the dude you were dealing with was just weak, with just shooting blanks. I'm Haitian. That stuff don't work, man. I know. I have 6 kids. So when you, looking at it, for that situation, it's really tough. I do feel bad for the girl. I think she has a baby by another guy. I think the baby or whatever, by a rapper. Some people saying, oh, she's a gold digger because she's 37. I don't think that the age matter. It just, Anthony Edward pursued her. She didn't pursue him. A lot of those guys, those IG models, a lot of those guys who are NBA players, a lot of athletes, NBA players, baseball players, football players, whatever. They're in college. They're in the DM sending these women messages. Granted, these women don't respond to the messages until these guys start making millions. They get drafted, making millions, and hey, okay. They see a paycheck, they see whatever. I understand that, but it doesn't change who these guys are. But if a woman, you having sex with that woman without any protection, I'm not gonna, you see in her, you see the letter C in her all the time. And yes, she didn't get pregnant then, but now she's telling you she is pregnant, and your response to her is, you're not difficult. It is a tough situation for women to unless you're in a relationship. Most women are not let me get pregnant. Only the losers are out there that are trying to get pregnant to trap a man. But most women are not trying to get pregnant. You know what I mean? They're not trying to get pregnant. They want to enjoy themselves. They want to go on vacation, whatever. Having kids is not an easy thing. Like I said, I know. You know what I mean? Having kids is not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy thing to have. It's a tough situation. You know what I mean? It's tough. So it's not an easy thing. So you got to look at it that what he did, what he was doing with her, enjoying her, doing all that stuff, and then when she tell you because already, seeing her body's going to changes now, and she's in a vulnerable situation, and she messaged you, she didn't call him, she didn't call him because she must have felt, oh my God, I wonder what he's gonna say, because it's not an easy thing to hit when the woman messages you, hey, I am pregnant. You got to be, at that moment, you got to be, hey, okay, well, hey, this is a great thing. I'm happy. If you weren't happy about it, you should have put on a condom. You shouldn't have been dealing with her. And she's vulnerable and then calling you, telling you that she's pregnant. You just, Anthony Edwards just, telling her, have an abortion, I don't want the baby, this and that. I'm already in a relationship. You knew all this stuff. You were in a relationship when you were dealing with her. You were in a relationship when you were seeing her. Let her see in her. I can't say, like I said, you got people watching it. We have kids watching. But still, you did all this knowing the consequences, knowing what to come, knowing what, the situation. So she felt hurt, like any women would. I don't know a woman who wouldn't be, Even my wife got pregnant. She came to say, hey, baby, I'm pregnant. She didn't come all whatever. She wanted to see my reaction. You know what I mean? She wanted to see my reaction. So you gotta look at it. It's not an easy topic. It's not an easy thing for women because they don't know. Because yes, you having fun, you're doing all that stuff. It's not an easy thing for women to come out, hey, I'm pregnant. Unless you guys were trying. If you guys were trying together, you this and that, you know what I mean? But if you're making love to your partner, you know what I mean? You're making love to your woman, and then, and a lot of times they want to know, hey, is he gonna be mad or whatever? Is he, hey, which is what she did. She was very uncomfortable situation. Really texting him to tell him, hey, she was pregnant, and he messaged her. He responded to her, hey, you better have an abortion. Go have an abortion. And that was like, you're looking at it, wow, been sleeping with this person all this time, flying you out here, flying there, this and that. He's loving you, he's this and that, and then you tell him that you're pregnant because of what he's done. He's been seeing in you all this time. Let us see, all this time, with no problem. And now the result of him seeing in you all this time got you pregnant, and you message him telling him that you're pregnant, and his response to you is, go have an abortion. I think that was weak. I think that was a loser move. You know what I mean? Look at him, he's a loser. Listen, having money doesn't make you, doesn't remove you from the losership. You're still a loser. There's a lot of idiots out there, a lot of losers out there, because they have a talent, the talent, get them, put them in a position to whatever, but that's what it is. He's still a loser. Out there doing all the stuff, getting, you can't get somebody pregnant and then try to back out of it, try to make them feel it's their fault or whatever. It's a tough situation. When somebody tell you that, this is the time to rally, to be around them, to be present for them, to whatever. You know what I mean? If as a man, if she decide, hey, she doesn't want to have the baby, she want to go have an abortion, that's something that you're still gonna talk to her about. It is the final decision is hers. But you as a man who's been seeing in her all this time, without you've been in her without protection, of course there's a say so. You got to talk to her to explain, to show her a different way. Hey, okay, I understand you want to have an abortion. You got to give her a reason why not to have the abortion, to be there for her, but not for you to tell her to do that. Whatever. This is not a good. It's not a good look for him at all. You know what I mean? But looking at it, to tell the woman that, now his lawyer's saying, oh well, she moved from Atlanta to California because she wanted payday, and him telling her he doesn't want anything to do with the baby. This is your baby. This is your baby, and it's on record. To go to court, which is a court record. Can you imagine that baby growing up? You have a son or a daughter to say, hey, my father did not want me. You know what I mean? you will have to be the biggest loser. There's a lot of words I could use, but I'm not gonna use them. You know what I mean? Like I said, we got kids who are watching all that stuff, but you gotta be the biggest loser in the world to go to court, public record, that this child would grow up to be an adult, to read that my father, who was doing everything to my mom, did not want me, did not want anything to do with me. I feel sorry for that child. I feel sorry, you know what I mean? Like I said, and there's a lot of people like that. I feel sorry for those little boys. I feel sorry for those little girls going through that, knowing that, you know, your dad did not want you, or your mom did not want you, whatever. I feel sorry for you. You know, it's a tough situation. It's a tough situation to be in. You know what I mean? So you know, yes, she moved. You know, people say yes, she moved to California because it's a bigger payday than Atlanta, whatever. That's not. I don't care what it is, man. I don't care what it is. You got that woman pregnant. You got her. You have no right to tell her to have an abortion. You don't have that. You got her pregnant. You didn't have to. If you didn't want to do that, you didn't have to. You got with her. You pursued her. Yes. Okay. What woman would do? Okay, somebody want to take care of them. What woman would want that? You know what I mean? You sweet talk her. You got her. Whatever. You were sleeping with her on a regular. And then you decided, hey, it was time when it was time for you to, you know, whatever, you didn't pull out. You just did what you had to do. And then she messaged you to tell you she's pregnant, and your response to her, you know, hey, have an abortion. She didn't, you know, and then you put that on record. And I think that's a coward way. You know, it's a very coward way to go, for you to even do that. And you know, that was disrespectful to the woman, disrespectful to a lot of people, man. And then also for that child to have to grow up knowing that you went to court to say, I don't want anything to do with that child. He said, okay, I'll pay child support, but I don't want anything to do. I don't want no relationship. Man, you gotta be some type of man, bro. I don't know. But anyway, man, I do feel sorry for her, and for every man out there. That's a lesson to you. For every woman out there too. You gotta be careful of the men that you're dealing with. You gotta be careful of those men you're dealing with. Those guys, there's a lot of losers out there. You know what I mean? There's a lot of losers out there. If I'm, you know, from the beginning, my mom always, you know, my mother always said, hey, if you're not ready to be a father, if you're not ready to be present, don't do it. You know what I mean? Don't do it. So if I'm, you know, sleeping with a woman, unprotectedly, whatever, you know, without using any protection, I know the consequence. I know that, okay, I have to be there. I have to be present. I understand what it is. Yes, I have to be present. I have to be there. I have to, you know, take care of you financially. I have to take care, whatever, you know, whatever. Hey, we have a baby together. I gotta be present. You know what I mean? I gotta be present. So once you do that, once you tell me, hey, recount, you know, and you know, my period is late. Okay, I'm already plotting. Okay, planning. I said plotting. I'm already planning. Okay, what do I need to do? Okay, we need this, we need that, whatever. I'm already planning to be ready for that. To be ready for you, hey, to be the support. This is not the time to ghost, because it's not an easy situation for most women. Especially, they're not married, especially, you know what I mean? Most women, it's not an easy situation for them. So when they call you to tell you that, okay, you know, your period didn't come, all right, start planning. They pregnant, start planning. It's not the time to you know. But what Anthony Edwards did, that was a D move. That really was a D move. You know, he did that to that woman, and then to you know, the woman have the baby, and then you decide to go to court to say, hey, you don't want anything to do with that child, man. That's disrespectful, man. It's a beautiful little girl. It is disrespectful. It's disrespectful for that baby. You know what I mean? Like, whatever going on with him and the mother, still, you decided to have unprotected sex with that unprotected sex with that woman, and you knew you know, like, you're not 80. Come on, like, man, how old are you? 23 is all I understand, but you don't know, you know, you could get, you know, women pregnant. Anyway, man, sports talk. You know, man, like, subscribe, and share, man. You know, it's a. I'm excited. I'm excited for you know what I mean, you know, for the Lakers. You need to get that bum land out of there. A 7-footer can't do nothing, man. Shout out to them. They won last night. You see Luka finally stepping up. You know what I mean? Luka, man, you know, 10 technical fouls, man. You need to chill. Give the, you know, man, chill on the rest, man. Cause you don't want to be suspended, man. But shout out to them. Shout out to Lakers, man. Orlando Magic stepping it up. Ben Carroll, shout out to you doing what you need to do, man. Anyway, man, sports talk. Like, subscribe, and share, man. Peace out. Peace out.